Good morning, everyone. How is everyone on today? Have a few stories that I wanted to share with you. So this may be a longer video, but anyway, hope you have time to get a chance to listen to these videos because just it's so much stuff going on in the world, and because of social media, I guess a lot of these stories now are coming to light, whereas they didn't used to be that out here, and now they are. But this story is coming from the New York Post, and it's saying that this sick Louisiana teacher has pleaded guilty to giving her students cupcakes laced with her husband's what they call it, skeet. I think that's a term that they use. Husband sperm, skeet. So that's what they're saying. And it says Cynthia Perkins, 36, admitted to a slew of disturbing sex crimes, including child pornography, second-degree rape, and mingling of harmful substances when she took a plea deal in Livingston on Monday. The teacher and her now ex-husband, Dennis Perkins, were arrested in 2019 on more than 150 sex crimes-related charges. That's a lot of charges, including sexually abusing a child together. What do you get out of hurting minor children? I don't understand this. These are sick individuals, you all. And it says that she was also hit with the harmful substance charge after she put Dennis skeet into cupcakes that she gave to students. She gave these cupcakes to students at Livingston's Westside Junior High School, authorities said. Tainting food that you are serving or giving to someone, tainting food. No telling what type of illnesses or diseases this man had. And under the plea deal, she took a plea deal. She had 68 other charges against her dismissed. Can you imagine the charges that she already, that they didn't dismiss? 68 charges against her is dismissed because she took a plea deal, and under that plea deal, she has to testify against Dennis, her ex-husband, at his upcoming trial. So I wonder if she decided to divorce him so she could testify against him, because a lot of times they grant immunity when there's a husband and wife. So in order to testify against him, she actually is divorced from him, and she not only waived her right to an appeal, so she can't appeal this, and attempt to avoid conviction, but she also spared the victims, they said, from the reliving the horrific crimes during this particular trial. And this is Louisiana Attorney General Jeff Landry said in a statement. Okay. This is just so unreal. And the thing is, too, so she's going to be sentenced to 41 years in prison on Friday. Authorities said. But she filed from her divorce. She filed for divorce from her husband in the wake of their arrest. So she did this when she got arrested. She decided to file for divorce and alleged that Dennis, now this is why she filed for divorce. Look at this blame game. Who's going to tell on who first, right? So she alleged that Dennis had manipulated her into committing the crimes. How are you, a grown woman, is saying that you were manipulated into committing these crimes? I don't believe you were manipulated. You went right along with it. And you're saying that he manipulated you into committing these crimes? Okay, well, maybe, I don't know. I don't want to, okay, well, maybe I shouldn't say he didn't, but I'm just saying, you're saying that, but you're a grown woman that can make your own decisions. You know right from wrong. And all you had to tell him was absolutely no. It's not like he manipulated you into going out and buying a new car and signing on, being a co-signer, or manipulated you into, going out to dinner, stuff like this. No, you're saying he manipulated you into committing these crimes against children. Now that I'm going to say no on, because you are an adult and you know right from wrong. And why would you allow someone to manipulate you into committing crimes against children? So I know. Maybe manipulation into something else. He manipulated me to eat that bowl of ice cream. He know that I'm on a diet, but he brought ice cream home. He brought cookies and cake home, chips home, and I ate them because I was, I couldn't help it. This is not cookies and cake and ice cream, people. Cynthia, no, you participated in crimes against children. And you're an adult, you know right from wrong. You could have said no. You could have contacted the authorities. You could have played some type of game to show, to get away from him. And you could have contacted the authorities over him. You could have contacted Homeland Security, the FBI. You could have did those things. So I'm not buying that you were manipulated and committing crimes against children. Maybe eating that bowl of ice cream or getting that sundae or shake at Dairy Queen or Baskin Robbins, but no way about children, because you're an adult and you know right from wrong, and you shouldn't have never did that. And you could have contacted the authorities. So now you divorce him because let me see if I can get a better sentence or a plea deal before he gets a plea deal. Man, I tell you about these people. Wow. We can't blame the water. We have to blame people for their choices. We can't blame the water. We can't blame the food and fruits and veggies. We have to blame these people for these bad, horrendous choices that they're making against children. And the couple were busted after the authorities received a tip at the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. So someone called it in. Unless it was her pretending to be someone else. But it says that they were busted after they got a tip. And investigators later found new photos of them with the minor. And so she resigned from her West Side Junior High School the day after her arrest. You know why? She resigned instead of getting terminated. Resign means she probably can still collect benefits. She probably can still collect benefits. That's why she resigned. I'm going to collect benefits. While Dennis was fired from his deputy. Now, look, he was a deputy. His deputy role at the Livingston Parish Sheriff's Office. He was a deputy. And she was a school teacher. In a position of authority. She was and he was. And he was there to protect and serve. And she was in a position of authority at the school to nurture and to teach children. And guess what? They both violated the rights of these children, they violated the trust of the children and the school system and the people they worked around. So he's scheduled to face trial in May on 150 criminal charges. So she got 68 of hers dismissed in a plea deal. And he's going to face 150. Crazy, huh? Crazy, man. Crazy. But I even have more stories for you all. I have more stories for you. I really do. Now, this is a woman. Now, listen to this story. This is very interesting because Michelle Childs sentenced a man to 12 years for selling 8 ounces of weed. And this is coming from prospect.org, from their journalist website. And he said, I've had more time than people in there, and he's talking about prison, who killed somebody, says Willie Roy Goodman. So he was incarcerated, okay? And who received the harsh sentence from the Supreme Court hopeful. So guess what? And you probably know who this is. She's a Supreme Court hopeful, Judge J. Michelle Childs. So in 2009, Willie Roy Goodwin went before Richland County Circuit Court Judge J. Michelle Childs to plead guilty. He didn't really have much of a choice after inviting an undercover cop into his house repeatedly and selling him marijuana, all caught on hidden camera. And they were about to legalize cannabis or marijuana anyway, right? So he thought a plea deal looked like his best bet. So plead he did. He did plead to 5 charges of possession with intent to distribute marijuana and 1 charge of failure to stop for a law enforcement vehicle. Okay, so he was prepared for more than a slap on the wrist. He was prepared for that. And even though he was a non-violent offender, it was his 3rd marijuana arrest, which in South Carolina brought with it a mandatory minimum sentence of 5 years. It's almost like the 3 strikes law in California. The length wasn't the only concern. Okay, by the letter of South Carolina law, Goodwin would have to be housed with mainly violent offenders. And he had only ever sold marijuana. And he, continued to do that. But they're housing him with violent offenders because third strike weed distribution charges. Third strike weed distribution charges were not eligible for parole at that time. But there was also reason to be hopeful. The sum total of all 5 weed sales were only 8.73 ounces, a trifling amount to justify putting someone away for half a decade. It was the sort of situation where a canny judge, understanding the situation, could have found some sort of walk around. And they do. They find sorts of walk arounds for by other people. And I'm going to get to that with Deshaun, that one guy with the officer that got her Kim. They got her taser mixed up with her gun, so she says, and she shot him in the chest. Yeah, they find a way around it. And I'm going to get to that story, okay? So 5 years was what they were saying in the beginning. So he's thinking, okay, it ain't nothing but some weed, okay? And Goodwin told me via phone, he says, even my lawyer was telling everybody weed was about to be legalized. It wasn't anything serious. So he's on the phone and he's talking to them about it. And so then it says more from Alexander Salmon. Judge Childs didn't see it that way. After hearing the prosecution's argument, she sentenced Goodwin to 12 years for his half a pound of cumulative marijuana sales. And because it was a non-parolable third strike offense, that meant that Goodwin was compelled to serve a minimum of 85% of that sentence locked up with violent offenders. 10 plus years of hard time, regardless of good behavior. He says, I've had more time than people in there who've killed somebody. It was crazy, said Goodwin, for bull crap. Okay, so today, Judge Childs, now sitting on the federal bench, is a top candidate to receive a Supreme Court nomination. With powerful backers like House Democrat Whip Representative James Clyburn, he's Democrat of South Carolina, and Senator Lindsey Graham, Republican, South Carolina. But the outsized sentence for a relatively small, non-violent drug offense stands out on Child's record. According to court documents obtained and reviewed by the prospect, Child's harsh sentence came as a surprise. The Richland County Public Defender's Office quickly filed a motion to reconsider the sentence, detailing improper arguments, unfounded speculation, and incorrect legal assertions by the prosecution. And they've done that. They did that with the R. Kelly case. You got all these incorrect legal assertions and improper arguments and unfounded speculation. Because if there was only adult, if the accusers were all children, but they weren't. There were grown adults testifying, and they were grown at the time that they say that allegedly, abuse happened between them and Mr. Kelly. They were grown. So one of them was underage, but she lied about her age, and then her mother promoted that lie of her being 18. And so when you look at it, they did a lot of things too in that case as well. So improper arguments, unfounded speculation, and incorrect legal assertions, okay, by the prosecution. So this is what this man, this is what the public defender is saying they did. And I agree with that. A lot of times they do that in the judicial system, especially if it's a black man, okay? They find every way to convict, even when they have information that says they're not guilty, they do it anyway, like with the Victor Simmons thing. And there's been other men too as well. But the assistant solicitor said that if the cumulative weight of the marijuana that the defendant was charged with selling on different occasions was added up, it would be the equivalent of trafficking marijuana, and that the court should consider this, the document reads. This is simply incorrect. A defendant must be in possession of at least 10 pounds of marijuana to be found guilty of trafficking. See how they try legal assertions? See how they try to do that with improper arguments so that they can get a conviction by any means necessary? The prosecution, too, had, without evidence, assumed that the defendant had been dealing drugs in larger quantities, even though he had only dealt 8.73 is the evidence that he sold over the cumulative of the times he made the sales. But they're trying to assume the assumptions. You know what assumptions does? And you know how assumptions are. ASS, and then you and me. You, me. ASS, you, me. That the defendant had been dealing drugs in large quantities and made that a core component of a case. You see how they be doing, making those a core components of the case, and they keep talking about it and making their point stronger and stronger and stronger. You see how they do? In proper argument, but making that the core component of the case, asking Judge Childs to consider the infraction tantamount to trafficking. And she really did. And Childs' record in the 2009 case will be distinctly at odds with the newfound commitment to criminal justice reform and smart on crimes policy. So the prosecution even invited, look at what they did. They even invited random community members. Look at how the prosecution is so corrupt in this American judicial system. They invited random community members who came from neighborhoods far from the site of Goodwin's dealings, prior dealings. They weren't even around, but they came from so far from neighborhoods very far from the site of Goodwin's prior dealings to dealing cases to testify against his character, urging the court to consider the opinions of unnamed members of the community, insisting that they were entitled to satisfaction derived from a substantially higher evidence for Goodwin. As the court is aware, members of the community are not considered to be victims under Article 1, Section 24 of the South Carolina Victims' Bill of Rights and have no standing at all to address the court or have their opinions heard on defendant's case during a guilty plea. So you know what they're doing? They're just trying to build a case against someone, set a precedence over them so that they can get a conviction. You know, the prosecutors here in America are so corrupt, a lot of them. I'm not saying all of them, but majority of them, it seems that they are. And they go to school, they go to law school, they get their JD, and look at what they do. They sit here and do all of this stuff when they went to school and supposed to be ethical people. And in order to get a conviction, this is the things that they do in our judicial system. It's so shameful and despicable. The public defender office spelled out it in his motion. Childs was unswayed and dismissed the public defender's office motion. She didn't want to hear it. This is what they do, though. The prosecution. Now, I believe that the defendant, the public defender, like he said, but they didn't even want to, they're not even to be considered. But the prosecution brought all those brought all these, they say victims, brought all these people from far away that had nothing to do with where Goodwin had prior dealings and had them testify. And they got away with it. But the public defender, like he cited Article 1, Section 24 of the South Carolina Victim Bill of Rights have no standing to address the court or have their opinions heard. But Childs was unswayed and dismissed the public defender's office motion. Can you believe that? Can you believe she did that? Dismissed it. It's like, do they violate these laws and they don't think it's going to come out sooner or later? Soon after that, the public defender's office brought a statement of basis for appeal from guilty plea. The judge stated that she did generally find neighbors and community members to be victims in drug crimes, that it was proper to consider their views as a substantial factor in sentencing. I disagree with that. Unless they were the victim of Goodwin, I disagree with that. Because we all can sit back and have opinions, and we can all be upset and dismayed and speak out against things that happen. But if you're not the actual victim, why would you be able to come on stand and testify and the judge allow the prosecution to bring these people in? But you see, in some cases, they won't even allow other real evidence of witnesses that can debunk what the prosecution is presenting. They wouldn't even do it in the R. Kelly case, but you did it in this case. Childs, shame on you. Shame on you. Do you not think these things are going to come out on you? They should be bringing out a whole bunch of stuff. And this is one of the cases right here. Shame on you for that. Shame on you. This is what she articulated, again pushing for Judge Childs to reconsider the aberrant proceedings that went into Goodwin's 12-year sentence. Again, Childs declined. Eventually, out of options, Good had no other recourse but to serve his lengthy sentence. And he said, they had me sleeping next to murderers on a weed charge, and they were going home before me. For what I had, man, it was crazy, said Goodwin. Now listen to this. I lost my family. I had a daughter and couldn't take care of her. And I'm not saying what he did was right. But shouldn't these crimes fit? Shouldn't these the charges, these sentences fit the crime? Shouldn't these sentences fit the crime? That's my question. I hope you will leave that in the comments. Because it just seems like to me a lot of these sentences are not fitting the crime. And you're telling me that this man had to sleep and lay and deal with murderers, violent offenders, over a weed charge. I think they could have done something a little different and gave him less time. I believe that. Childs, again, shame on you. And he lost everything. Pretty much. And Childs was not a household name at the time, but she was on the national radar. Goodwin's case ended up being one of her last on the state court. At a few months after sentencing him and denying his appeals in December 2009, she was nominated by then President Barack Obama to serve on the United States District Court for the District of South Carolina. She was confirmed a few months later. At that point, the criminal justice reform movement had not gained its current purchase with either party. Tough on crimes policies and harsh sentencing decisions were considered to be good politics. A few years after Childs' nomination, South Carolina Judge Allison Lee was nominated for a federal judgeship by Obama, only to have her candidacy tanked when reports came out that she had lowered the bail amount for 18-year-old burglary suspect Lorenzo Young, who was later charged in the slaying of a 33-year-old woman. And Obama then withdrew the nomination. Childs was shooting for that seat, trying to make an example out of me, Goodwin said. Yeah, and that's what they usually do to make a name for themselves. She didn't care what kind of lives she destroyed. They don't. A lot of times they don't care what life they destroy. And they'll even come and attack the family that had nothing to do with it a lot of times too, and punish the whole family. And that's why I was saying yesterday in my video, it's not just the person that's, that's serving, that's going to serve time or serving time. It's the whole family that's serving time, and they suffer too. They do suffer. And so weed, of course, is fully legal in 18 states and counting. But since Goodwin's sentencing, South Carolina laws on weed infractions have gotten less draconian. Just last week, the state Senate approved a bill legalizing medical marijuana. Now, and while Joe Biden has remained steadfast in his refusal to legalize cannabis at the federal level, his administration has gone to great lengths to indicate that it has moved past the Democratic Party's 1990s tough on crime tradition and the infamous 1994 crime bill that he once sponsored. Now, Childs' record in the 2009 case would be distinctly at odds with that newfound commitment to criminal justice reform and smart on crime politics, one that has remained popular on a surprisingly bipartisan basis, even as a nascent crime panic has been stoked in recent months. And then you have VP Kamala Harris even wrote a book while Attorney General of California called Smart on Crime, disavowing punitive sentencing and echoing a strategy put into effect in red states like Kansas and Texas. Goodwin, meanwhile, got out in 2016, slightly earlier than expected. He still lives in the Columbia area and has since started a business doing handyman work called WG Home Remodel and Handyman Services. He says, I'm keeping afloat, not getting into any trouble, going to work every day, he told me. I was never a bad person. We have to think about these stories now and what's put out here when we are getting ready to vote for people. So important to do so. And then we are going to have another story to come up about Monique. She reveals a recording of Tyler Perry allegedly apologizes to her. And this is from, sorry, you guys, I have like my neck here, right here. I must have slept wrong. This is from newsbreak.com. And she's saying right here, Monique reveals secret recording of Tyler Perry allegedly apologized for blackballing actress. And you know who Monique is. You know, she's a comedian. She's an actress. Excuse me. And she appeared on Turned Out with T.S. Madison and spilled all about Madea star Tyler Perry. The actress claims to have secret recordings of the director calling her to apologize for blackballing her. This article continues on to tell us that she said that she has these recordings. She has these recordings of him, and that she, that when she reached out to him, he didn't really want to talk about it. And let me get to, sorry about this, because I have it on here. Sorry, give me a moment, please. Somehow, Radar Online. This is it. I'm sorry. RadarOnline.com. It broke up my article, so I apologize. But it's saying that she claims that Perry wanted her to work for free. The Academy Award-winning actress, Monique, said that he wanted her to work for free to do festival promo for the 2009 movie Precious. And when Monique told the director it wasn't in her contract to do it, he allegedly tried to use his name to push the actress to do what she's told. She didn't take that well. And Monique is not going to take nothing like that. He's telling her, basically, I'm Tyler Perry. Do what you told to do. And she, Monique is not going to take that. Monique is not that type of actress, not that type of person. Monique's not that type of woman to sit down and take something like that. Do what I'm told? How many, really? You're saying do what I'm told, Tyler Perry, just because you got a name, you got money, I'm supposed to do what I'm told to do because you want me to work for free? Monique's got to pay her bills too. She got to eat, feed herself, her family. How is it that you got this type of clout and money, Tyler Perry, that you are telling somebody to do what they're told by trying to use your name to do it? And this woman said, that's just not in my contract to do it. I don't blame you, Monique. You got to mind the business that pays you. And if they not paying you, then you can't be minding that business over there that's not paying you. I got you, Monique. Girl, I got you. I got you, Monique, on that. And that's your craft too. So why would you have to, not get paid for your work? Nobody's doing free promo. I didn't mean to say promo. Nobody's doing free promo, okay? So during her interview with T.S. Madison, the actress said, I don't care who it is. It's not fair for you to want me to work for free just because it's you. So now here comes the blackball. And they will blackball you. Have you ever been blackballed on your job too? When you spoke out about the injustice and things that have happened and they blackball you from getting promotions? Have you ever went through that? It's a lot of people. I've been through it. And they do. They know you're qualified. They know you're doing your job, but they know that you are holding. And you know what? The thing is that when you start holding people accountable, they don't like that. They don't want you speaking out. They feel it's speaking against them when really you're speaking what's right, and they'll blackball you. They don't want to promote you. Then they'll use people to lie on you and to spy on you and to make you look bad to where you'll never get promoted. And they create hostile working environments for you. They do a lot of stuff, man. I'm telling you. And so Monique goes on to explain, here comes, she's difficult to work with. Her and her husband, they're difficult people. So now no one is going to touch Monique because now here comes it. And that's what, and if you recall that story about Monique, they did say that. They did say she was difficult to work with. And I think that Steve Harvey remember Steve Harvey made some comments about it too? It's just so not right, man. If a person feels that they need to get paid, they have a right to get paid. They don't have to do free work. And maybe it's in their interest to or not do, because you don't know how much free work that Monique has done. See, I don't know that. I'm not sure how much free work she's done. And, I know we have to give back to the community and show up, and it's good. And if you're running for a political office seat, you show up and you're in the community. But you know what? I think that your character should speak for itself way before all of that goes down. That way people know who you are. And so I feel like she has to mind the business that pays her. That means that if she feels that, hey, I can't do that, that's not in my contract to work for free, then why would you expect her to work for free? And why would you want to blackball her because she didn't do what she was told because it's Tyler Perry? So the comedian pulled her heart out and she made sure to call out another high profile name siding against her. Can you guys think who it is? Guess who it is? Oprah Winfrey said nothing. Monique reveals Winfrey did have a conversation with her husband, but Oprah Winfrey ultimately sided with Perry. You see how they do? They side with people that got money. You see how they do, though. I'm just saying. And I don't know the details of that conversation between Oprah Winfrey and Monique's husband, Miss Monique's husband. But she's saying that Oprah Winfrey ultimately sided with Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry has money. Oprah Winfrey's going to go where the money is. Follow the money trail, even if it's wrong. And was Oprah Winfrey working for free? Didn't she have that show and she got her network? But she had the network on, and was she ever working for free? I don't think she was ever working for free. And Monique backed up her claims that Perry was trying to blackball the actress by pointing out several cases where the director would warn directors and producers how difficult she was to work with. You know, and Tyler Perry, you didn't even have to do that. If you were doing that, because the article says you were, there's no need for you to do that. You have plenty of money. You have clout. You got the backings. You know, people love you. They like your movies. So why would you need to go around and tell directors and producers that she was difficult to work with? Why would you need to do that? But you know what? People do that in everyday life too. They'll lie on you. They'll make up stuff on you. They'll call up other people and say stuff. That happens in our everyday life. So if it's happening in actors and producers and, you know, public figures, if it's happening to them, it already has happened to us over and over and over in our home families, you know, on jobs, in the community. It happens, period. It happens. Common people like us, it happens. They'll start saying, oh, they're difficult to work with. You know, they are, you know, what's the other word? Not just being difficult, but they always are making problems. They're a problematic person making problems. They say all type of stuff. And so she claims that director David Talbert defended the actress, saying she was a joy to work with. The Fats Girl actress made sure to point out that Perry never directed her. She clarified that Perry didn't join the Precious film till after the film wrapped. The comedian says she's been having to fight off these rumors of her manner on the set the Madea actor was putting out there for over a decade. You mean to tell me Tyler Perry did that? Wow, Tyler. You know, I mean, this article is saying it, and, you know, I don't know, I wasn't there, but you know what? There are men that gossip. There are men that do stuff like that. It really is. And I always say a real man don't need to do that. If you're a real man and you got what you got, you don't need to go around and slander and defame someone's character and put them down and talk about them and try to keep them from getting other jobs and, you know, parts in films and stuff. You don't need to do that. You just need to move on and do what you're going to do. You should be minding the business that pays you too, Tyler Perry, instead of trying to blackball this female actress. You know, you just don't need to be doing all that. Period. And it says the comedian says that Perry did end up calling Monique and her husband. And the actress says she secretly recorded the conversation. And what she claims she captured gave her the will and power to speak out yet again. So she claims that in the recordings, Perry apologized. What I did to you was wrong. The host of the neighborhood talk show backed up the actress, telling her audience that she was privy to hear that conversation. She said in no uncertain terms, Monique is telling the truth. I wonder if Tyler's going to come out and say anything about this. You know what I mean? And it says Monique also revealed that her close personal friends Al Sharpton and Kevin Hart listened to the tape and tried calling Tyler Perry to clear up the air. But they were supposedly both told by the film producer, I don't want to revisit that again, essentially preventing any public closure between him and the actress. And after Sharpton called the director a second time, Perry allegedly said that he would apologize publicly once the actress apologized for dragging his and Oprah's name through the mud. Now, you know what? It sounds like to me that he dragged her name through the mud, not the other way around. But, it's really sad that, you have people out here that are, that are out here doing these things to each other, instead of trying to help people along the way. And when you make it, to help others, but to just drag people through the mud. And so, have another article here, and about Kimora Lee Simmons, Kimora Lee Simmons, estranged husband Goldman, banker. He was a banker. Husband Tim Leissner is a double bigamist who uses people, says lawyer co-worker, for trial for his part in a multi-billion-dollar embezzlement scheme. Now, I haven't heard anything of Kimora Lee Simmons. She was married, to Russell Simmons, and they have daughters, and then she had remarried somebody else, and I think she has a son or something. But anyway, she married this man, and they're saying that he's a double bigamist, is what the defense lawyer has claimed in the sensational Wall Street trial in his colleague's alleged multi-billion-dollar embezzlement scheme. Now, he's the estranged husband of fashion model and TV reality star Kimora Lee Simmons. And he was allegedly married to two different women at the same time twice, Roger Ning's defense attorney Mark Agnifilo has claimed. And it said that he was first married to Judy Chan, a former analyst at Goldman and the daughter of a coal mining business owner in China. And then to Simmons. And he met Simmons, who was previously married to Russell Simmons, as we know, most of us know, in business class on a flight from Hong Kong to Kuala Lumpur. And they got married in 2013 and have a son named Wolf, who was born in 2015. Now, Goldman's former head of investment banking in Malaysia is charged with conspiring to launder money and to violate an anti-bribery law. And so the prosecutors will call the German-born Leissner, their star witness, who was Ng's former boss at the bank's Southeast Asia operation, to testify at the Brooklyn trial. So prosecutors said in opening statements at his trial on Monday that Ning, 49, received $35 million in kickbacks for helping embezzle $4.5 billion in funds from one MDB in a brazen scam. But they're also saying, this is a cute picture of Kimora. She has on a bad dress, you guys. It's beautiful. I'll put the article down there in the link. But apparently he was still married to both of them, at the time. And he pleaded guilty, Leissner did. He's 52 years of age. He pleaded guilty to money laundering and bribery charges and agreed to cooperate with the government's investigation and testify against Ning for a reduced sentence, forfeiting $43 million. That's a lot of money to forfeit, $43 million. But it says that him and Kimora had, they had met on a plane. They got into a heated argument. And that's what's interesting, because up here, when it talks about it, it said that they had met on a plane. And then they got in a heated argument, but then they wind up getting married. Isn't that interesting how they got in this heated argument and all of a sudden they were got married? And it's also saying that the pair allegedly worked with, and this is the pair, Ning and Leissner. He worked with Malaysian financier I think it's Joho or Jeho Low to divert the money to fund their lavish lifestyle. And Agnifilo told jurors that Leissner uses people and has an illicit relationship with Jasmine Liu, the general counsel at 1MDB. And she, Jasmine Liu, has since fled Malaysia and is wanted by authorities. There's a lot going on with these people with money, huh? These famous people got money. They don't know what else to do but keep embezzling. Is that why they're rich? Or they get greedy? They get rich because they have an idea that works for them and to make money, and then they get greedy. And that's what it sounds like here. Just greed takes over. So the defense attorney said Leissner and Liu developed a dark trust because of their illicit, intimate, romantic relationship. And Agnifilo goes on to say that Leissner uses women. He uses false intimacy. And now he's trying to use my client to get him to do his jail time. But yeah, but like I said, that he's supposed to be married to Kimora Lee Simmons. And, and this other woman at the same time, and they're calling him a bigamist. And they were talking about his personal life. And, man, they're saying that the former Goldman Sachs employee is currently, now, I didn't say divorced, it said currently married to Kimora Lee Simmons, but it's unclear exactly when they wed. And they had a secret wedding date, but it's also saying that he's married to somebody else. You know, and they adopted a son named Gary 10 in January 2020, but they are estranged. They don't know if they have split up yet. They were still apparently married, but they are estranged, so maybe they're not living together anymore. And after his speculation of separating from Kimora Lee Simmons, he was seen canoodling with a mystery woman. And that news spread to Kimora. So, you know, they told it. People called and said, hey, your husband over here with a mystery woman, and hey, what's going on? So they said before he married Kimora Lee Simmons, he was married to Judy Chan, who currently runs the Grace Vineyard, China's first family-owned winery. And he met her when she was working as a junior analyst. And it's unclear when they exactly got married. And their feast included, their feast, included suckling pigs with electric lights flashing in the eye sockets. Wow. Electric lights flashing in the eye socket of suckling pigs. I don't think I've ever seen that before. I'm going to have to look that up, you guys, because I don't think our women, friends, family, I don't mean to say guys in disrespect, but I'm going to have to look that up and see. And it says that Chan and Leissner divorced in 2013, but Chan was using her married name in Grace Vineyard promotional materials in 2012. She appears to have begun using her married name in 2013. So anyway, it just seems like this man, they're calling him a bigamist. They don't really know the whole story, and nobody can find divorce records and marital records. Nobody can find any of that. But that was a lot of money here. Like Goldman earned $600 million in fees from the deals, and around $4.5 billion of the funds raised was embezzled. Wow. And Goldman paid a nearly $3 billion fine and arranged for its Malaysian subsidiary to plead guilty in U.S. court. Because they're saying Low, the accused mastermind behind the scene, was indicted in the U.S. along Ning in 2018. And federal prosecutors Brent Wibble alleges Ning secretly agreed with Leissner and Low to take hundreds of millions of dollars raised for 3 bond deals tied to one MDB that has been intended for development projects in Malaysia. And man, it's just crazy, all these co-conspirators in this scheme. But, but they're saying never found anything incriminating against his client Ning. And it's like a bribery and money laundering scheme. But that's a lot of money that could help a lot of legitimate causes. And for these people to just be scheming, the greed has gotten to these people. Can you believe it? This greed has gotten to people. And this money could help so many legitimate causes and purpose. And with all this going on in America right now, with the pandemic still going on, we don't, and people just embezzling big money. And then we have our government sending money overseas, and people here are still struggling to get their unemployment, to even be to be confirmed or verified about their unemployment and things like that. And we have all this going on over here. It's just really is something else with these people with money, embezzling, stealing money. And we're talking about billions of millions and billions of dollars, not thousands and 100,000, but millions and billions of dollars, And so anyway, this is so crazy because it's just so crazy, all this stuff that's going on. And then listen to this right here. And it says the Malaysian socialite Low, who maintains his innocence, became well known in the New York City and Los Angeles club scenes. And in 2012, listen to this now. In 2012, he threw a lavish 31st birthday bash attended by DiCaprio, Kim Kardashian, and other celebrities. A fete described by the Wall Street Journal as the wildest party Las Vegas has ever saw. And pop star Britney Spears is said to have jumped out of a birthday cake to serenade Low. He also dated Miranda Kerr, who was forced to surrender. Now listen to this. $8 million in jewelry he gave her amid the one MDB inquiry. Girl, it's just crazy, right? All this money that's being thrown around. All this money being thrown around. Crazy, but the truth. And it's just so crazy, but the truth. And so I just want to share these stories with you, and God bless you all on today. But I have one story left, and I'm going to do it as a separate video. And so talk with you soon. Bye. Bye.